Time now for this week's Health Matters. Paul Critz with you, along with PA Lynn Szabo. And we're not alone in the Fug House today. We have guests as well. We are joined by Diana Imhof. Let me see if I get all of this right. A registered radiologic technologist.
Yes, that's correct.
That's great, with an MBA in healthcare management.
Yes.
Wow. All right. That's a lot of knowledge. And we have Sienna Wier, a college student. I would call you a local college student, but you don't go to college here locally, of course. But you grew up here, correct?
Yes.
What year of college are you in?
I am in my freshman year right now.
Freshman year. And you are here to, well, let me ask Lynn, why are these people here today with
Well, Diana is my dear friend from the days of Redwood Urgent Care, where she did x-ray for us, and people that utilize that clinic might remember we had a digital x-ray with a 15-minute rad read, which was like amazing. Yeah. And people got handed the typed out report plus the disc, and Diana made it all happen. It was kind of magic. And she contributed to my knowledge of taking care of people by helping me actually look at x-rays and, actually order the right thing, things like that. Mm-hmm. And Sienna, when I was at Redwood Urgent Care, we kind of adopted as a business model, I guess you could say, the mentoring of bright people to go on in medicine. So we figured if we couldn't get people to come to the area, then we would take our local talent and mentor them through their journey. And Sienna is actually interested in becoming a PA. So
wow.
We've been working together for about 6 months. And so I asked her to do the interviewing part of Diana for this, because I think this is going to tell us a new profession that a lot of people haven't really thought of before, what the local Del Norte connection is and why somebody might be interested.
Wonderful. Okay, first, Sienna, why would you like to go into healthcare? What makes you want to be a PA?
Well, growing up in Del Norte, I have seen sort of the health disparities that occur, and it just really made me want to do something about it. And I guess that's the goal, is to get my education and come back and help the community, which I care for so much.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, I'm going to step out of the way, and I assume then you're here to pick the brain of Diana and find out just what it is she does? Mm-hmm. All right, well, take it away, Sienna. Thank you.
So first, let's start about just general information about Radiologic Technologist. So, Diana, why did you decide to become a Radiologic Technologist?
Well, it was kind of a roundabout journey to becoming a radiologic technologist. I actually taught elementary school in Dallas, Texas for 5 years, and decided that was not my calling. I went to one of the community colleges and took one of those, what do I want to be when I grow up tests, and almost everything that was on it was medically related. I looked around the Dallas area at a lot of the schools. I already had a bachelor's degree. I was looking for something that I could do a little more quickly, because you can get a radiologic technologist degree in 2 years. And I settled on that program in Dallas at a community college.
Nice. Could you please explain a little bit about what exactly a radiologic technologist does?
Yes. Most people think about going to the doctor and the doctor orders an x-ray, and you go to the hospital and the technologist takes an x-ray of your broken bone. But we really do image all parts of the body. It's not just broken bones. If you have lung problems or digestion problems, there's different tests that can be ordered that are either diagnosed with x-ray or CAT scan or MRI or ultrasound. There's a multitude of modalities in radiology.
Thank you. What is the difference between a radiologic technician, a radiologic technologist, and just a radiologist?
That's a really good question, because most people get really confused. In fact, a lot of times when I'm working at the hospital, people assume that I am a radiologist. A radiologist is actually the doctor that reads the images that the technologists take. When you get certified in radiology, you become a radiologic Technologists. Both California and Oregon, though, have limited licenses that are that you use less. You have less education, but you also have less latitude in what you can do in a radiology department. So you get like a limited license, and those people are called technicians. They might be limited to just taking chest x-rays or doing DEXA scans, which is for bone density. But a radiologic technologist is nationally certified and can perform a wide variety of tests. And they also have the opportunity of being cross-trained into higher modalities like CAT scan and MRI.
Hey, Diana, can I interrupt for a minute? One thing that I learned a lot from you and appreciate in your skills is your ability to understand anatomy and to kind of position a patient so you're going to get the optimal film for the medical question being asked. So it seems to me that there's a certain amount of right brain, left brain stuff. You have to definitely take the course in anatomy and be proficient in it, but you also seem to be able to see almost inside the patient and set the scene for optimal diagnostic testing.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
taking x-rays is definitely an art. There's the textbook way to do things, but if someone's arm is broken, they're not going to want to position it in a textbook position. So you have to get really creative in how you're positioning the x-ray film and the x-ray machine so that you can get the diagnostic information for the physician to best diagnose what's wrong with the patient.
Great. Sienna?
Earlier, you mentioned that the schooling to become an x-ray technician was 2 years. Could you go a bit more in depth on the process of becoming a radiologic technologist?
Yep, it is a technologist. Most schools, you have to have some prerequisites before you enter the program. That's kind of how they weed out the potential students that are going into the program. I went to school in Dallas at a community college, and my prerequisites were the first semester of anatomy and physiology and college level algebra. And then you applied for the program, and the program lasted 2 years. Some of the program was classwork in a classroom, and other parts of it are clinical practice where you actually go to the hospital and learn how to physically take x-rays and do other procedures in x-ray. Each school has different prerequisites. So you would have to know which school you're applying to, unfortunately, and know that you have those prerequisites done before you can apply. It would be really nice if they all agreed on what prerequisites so that you could apply to multiple schools.
Can they be wildly different?
Oh, yes, they can be wildly different.
Wow,
But
okay.
still
I know
science,
I
right?
was looking at the...
It's just science.
Still, I mean, like physics and biology and anatomy, and I think it's. I mean, for example, you wouldn't take English literature.
Well, interestingly, I know I was looking at some other schools for my stepdaughter, who at one point thought she might want to go into radiology. And I did find one school that required that you were a CNA for 2 years before you could apply to the radiology program. Oh. And I thought that was very unusual. But it can vary quite a bit in what's required.
Do you have any recommendations for finding an x-ray school or reasons why you chose your particular school?
The other thing that varies quite a bit with schools is the cost of school. If you go into nursing, it makes a big difference whether you get an LVN degree or an RN degree and how many years you've been going to school. It makes a big difference in your salary when you get hired. In radiology, at this point, it doesn't. You can get an associate's degree in radiology and get paid exactly the same as someone with a bachelor's degree in radiology. And the cost of the schools varies incredibly. In Dallas, going to community colleges, it was very affordable. I waited tables and wrote a check for my tuition every semester. So I had no student debt when I graduated. And I make just as much money as someone who goes to a 4-year college and pays $30,000 a year to get the same education.
This is a common brag. I know this firsthand of anybody who goes through community college. I did the same thing. Is it analogous in Texas as far, like California's community college system is so well developed? Is it the same in
Yes,
Texas?
in Texas it very much is, and it's very affordable.
Wonderful.
My textbooks cost more than my tuition did. Of course, this was back in the 90s, but it's still very affordable. In fact, I would even suggest people look at out-of-state tuitions at a community college, which may be more affordable than
Right. Yeah.
a local college that's offering the same program.
Well, it's too late for you, Sienna. or for you, Amber. Sorry.
So, are there any opportunities for professional growth in radiology, or is it more like once you get hired in your position, that's sort of where you stay at?
Absolutely. That's one of the benefits of being in radiology is when you graduate, you are certified to take x-rays. Some states have more regulations than others, but in general, you can get cross-trained then to do CAT scans, to do MRIs. The American Registry of Radiologic Technologists offers certification exams in all of those modalities. And as you gain more certifications, it actually increases your pay at the facilities that you're working. The other benefit is that you can be a radiologic technologist almost anywhere in the United States. Even very small towns usually have a doctor's office, a clinic, a urgent care. There's a wide variety of places to find employment. The American Society of Radiologic Technology actually did a study last year, and 3 years ago there was a 6% deficit in the number of rad techs that were needed in the United States, and that has increased to 18% last year.
So super employable field.
Super
in
employable
medicine.
right now.
Probably going to continue to grow, I would
And
guess.
it's going to continue to grow as our population ages. There were a couple of reasons for the huge deficit. One, aging technologists that have retired, and two, during the COVID pandemic, it was really difficult for schools to place their students for the clinical part of their education.
Now, Lynn, correct me if I'm misremembering, but the sort of the imaging setup that you guys had at Redwood Urgent Care was unique, right? Wasn't it kind of a cutting edge sort of thing, in that you had radiologists reading far away and kind of pulling?
It was digitalized.
And we don't have an analogous, or we didn't at that time, an analogous capacity here in this community. Wasn't that the first of its kind? That kind of like in-house imaging?
No, I don't think there was anything analogous.
Right.
But what defines an urgent care? I mean, there's boxes you have to tick to call yourself an urgent care, and on-site x-ray with a quick read is an important one too.
Okay.
So, Diana, earlier we were talking about education and community college, and so I kind of wanted to switch the topic to our own local community college, College of the Redwoods. We have heard that College of the Redwoods is developing a radiologic technologist program. Do you have any information about that?
They are in the process of working on that. I know they were writing curriculum this last fall, and they hope to get that all approved. And hopefully there will be a program starting in 2026, because as I stated before, you usually have to have prerequisites before you can enter a radiologic technologist program. So they need to let the community know what those prerequisites are so that the students can get them before they can apply to the program.
But I think they're actually going to extensively remodel the campus too, at least the building where Teen Clinic is located, because we've been asked to move. But, those are temporary buildings. So they're talking about building permanent buildings there for this program. Super exciting.
That's wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
How do you think a potential X-ray technologist program at College of the Redwoods would affect the larger Del Norte community?
Oh, it will be highly beneficial for all the hospitals on the coast. As I stated before, there's an 18% deficit of technologists, and trying to get people to move out to the coast when they're used to living in larger cities is really difficult. So having a local college where our local students who already live in the area and love the area can get this kind of education will be a fantastic benefit to the hospitals, who rely a lot on traveling x-ray techs, just like most people have heard of traveling nurses. There's traveling professionals in every single medical profession.
Yeah. It'd be nice to get somebody who was committed to the community and staying here for a long time.
Absolutely.
I mean, travelers, they really do a service for us, but there's this feeling of instability. And when you have somebody local who's plugged in that you're going to see at Safeway in the produce aisle, and you feel taken care of. So,
And, the salaries here on the coast are the technologists are very well paid. If you are a experienced technologist at one of the major hospitals, you're looking at a 6-figure salary.
So does it matter if you make as much as you would elsewhere? It's just cheaper to live here?
It's actually very highly paid right now here. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Specifically just to draw people in, that sort of
I
thing?
think so.
Okay.
I think that's why they've raised their salaries so much.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Good for you to know, huh?
Yeah. Earlier, or I guess how we introduced you, you mentioned you had your master's in health administration. What led you to pursue that, or what led you to pursue that as an opportunity as a radiologic technician?
We talked a little bit about education earlier, and how if you're going to work as a radiologic technologist, you can do that with a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree. If you want to move into management, you definitely should shoot for at least a 4-year bachelor's degree. I've been pushing gurneys and lifting backboards and wheelchairs for 24 years now. And as I'm getting closer to retirement age, I decided that I needed to take a step back from that. Although I love the patient care aspect of being a radiologic technologist, it's just a very physically active job. And so I decided to pursue my master's in healthcare administration. And I decided to get the MBA because I wanted to have a better background in the business of doing healthcare. I thought that would be more marketable as a manager.
I have a question about the health aspect of this. And I think I know what you're going to say, is that we oftentimes radiation kind of like a scary thing. And so you've oftentimes also reassured me when I'm like, I don't really want to do a 2-view on an infant because all that radiation. And you're like, oh, please, Lynn, calm down. It's hardly anything. So what's your thoughts about the radiation exposure? How do they monitor that for you?
Were you just trying to keep Lynn quiet?
No, all technologists have to wear what's called a dosimeter that keeps track of the radiation that we're exposed to, because ionizing radiation in large doses can be detrimental.
Is it cumulative? Like over a certain amount of time, or can you go home and shake it off?
No, it is cumulative, but we are exposed to radiation. Everyone is exposed to radiation on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Being out in the sun,
These bit on either side of my head,
Right.
building materials,
Cell phones,
especially when you're around mountainous areas, there's more background radiation because, oh yeah. And with the advent of digital X-ray, the amount of radiation is dropping more and more and more as the technology advances, you're able to use a lot less radiation to produce the image.
Okay, so I have like a technical question for
Yeah.
a technologist then. So is it the are you still you're still using X-rays, but is it the digital aspect? Then it's like with photography, it's the film back that's been replaced, right? With the more highly
Exactly.
sensitive digital back. Then okay, all right.
Yeah, it still looks like you have a cassette with film, but it's a receptor that the computer programs have improved so much that they can detect lower and lower and lower doses of radiation and still produce an image that's
Right.
diagnostic for the doctor.
And they're reusable, I suppose, right?
And they are.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't have to
exactly.
go in a dark room anymore, like when I first started X-ray.
Shake it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have to flick the film up into the light box anymore.
Yeah.
That's so
I get
dramatic.
to do cool
can just-
things. I get to like change densities. I get to change colors. I get to magnify certain areas. It is so cool.
Yeah, when we had film, you had to. I would say it was more of an art when we had film, because if the film didn't come out, you had to know exactly what to
Why,
do
yeah.
to fix it.
Yeah.
But just like digital photography, we've got all these.
You can tweak it, and
You
yeah,
can
you do
tweak
stuff.
it
Yeah,
and look at different aspects depending on how
That's-
the settings are in the computer.
That's crazy. That's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that is really interesting how the field has developed and grown over time.
Get it developed? Oh, it's an imaging joke. Sorry.
And that we have opportunity here. So if somebody who is thinking, wow, this is a way I can give back to the medical community in Del Norte, here's a perfect example. The other thing, too, is for the person who's thinking, I want to leave Del Norte, I am over Del Norte, how can I have an occupation that'll take me places that I've only dreamed of? And so, Diana mentioned that a lot of X-ray techs are travelers, and I imagine they also travel internationally and are, kind of associated with things like armed services bases or companies, in Saudi Arabia, American companies. So you could really make anything out of this.
Yes.
Yeah.
I worked as a traveling X-ray technologist for 6 or 7 years and traveled all over the country, coast to coast, north to south, and got to experience a lot of different states, a lot of different areas, a lot of different hospitals, and their policies and procedures. And you do have to get, for most states, you do have to get a state license for each state that you work in.
Oh, wow. How difficult is that?
Some are very easy. You just apply online and it spits one out. Others are a little more difficult.
It looks at like where you've
They
already
want to
gotten-
see your transcripts from college, and
wow.
it just depends on the state.
And did you stay in one place for a set amount of time, or does that vary from gig
Usually
to gig?
the contracts are for 3 months, but
Okay.
most places you can extend. So most places I stayed 6 or 9 months
And do you
before
like rural, under resourced communities mostly, or a smattering of urban and rural?
Most of
suburban?
mine were urban,
Wow.
but I actually took a travel job in Cedarville, California, which is extremely rural, a town
don't
of
even know where
500
that is.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
You take 299 all the way to Nevada,
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
and that's where Cedarville is. And I actually bought a house there, took the radiology supervisor position there, and worked there for about 10 years.
Oh wow.
So
is that what broke the traveling cycle
that's what
for you? Is
broke,
that- okay.
broke the traveling cycle, yeah. And then my husband worked for me.
That's right. And it just wouldn't be pointed out. That's like the second time she's brought that up.
Hot dating site in Cedarville.
Well, that's really. I've always been intrigued by the traveling healthcare worker. It just seems like an interesting, like a point in my life, a different person. Yeah, I could totally have gotten into something like that. That's really cool.
Did you notice any differences working in more urban populations versus rural areas?
Well, yeah, of course the urban were usually much more busy. It was nonstop. You would have patient after patient after patient. Rural are a little bit more laid back. I worked in, mid-size, large, small. I was working at the at San Jose County hospital for 9 months, and that was pretty busy. But you learn so much in those experiences, working with so many different technologists and working with so many different pieces of equipment, that it's something that you can't get working at one facility
Right.
for your entire career.
You were really, really good at jerry rigging when we had equipment
Yeah.
problems. You always had the answer. Yeah. So super awesome. I really thank you for coming here and telling us about these opportunities.
No, absolutely.
And thank you for Sienna for interviewing. A step closer to your dreams, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, go team.
So, what's the future for you look like then? If you choose to go on and become a physician assistant, what does that mean as far as schooling and what lies ahead for you before you're in an exam room and taking care of people?
Well, I have quite a few steps ahead of me.
Right.
First, I would complete my undergraduate degree at Oregon State.
Is there a specific degree that is best to get if you're going to go on to PA?
From what I've gathered, I'm in a pre-PA club. I've done a lot of research on it. There's not like one degree that you need. Probably more science related to get your science prerequisites, and each school has different prerequisites. I'm getting my degree in biohealth sciences right now. I've also started a medical assisting program to get direct patient care hours when applying for school.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I would complete my undergraduate degree, potentially take a gap year to gain more direct patient experience hours, go on to a PA program, which would be about 2 years depending, and then hopefully gain some experience and come back to Del Norte County to provide.
You're talking like maybe 6-7 years, maybe?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's
option
quite a
to
commitment.
do a
Yeah.
residency, because I understand your interest is in OBGYN.
Yes.
So they might recommend a residency. That's just a 1-year kind of deep dive in your topic of choice. So those are all over the country. Super exciting.
And just so you know, there are radiology PAs also.
So this is something I want to
know that.
We've got just a couple of minutes left, but yeah, Diana, do you have any insights, any advice then for Sienna with what she has to look forward to?
Well, any profession in the medical field is highly needed, especially in rural areas, and it's very rewarding. I would go into X-ray again. I do not miss teaching school. Sorry to all you teachers, but I do enjoy teaching newer technologists all the tricks of the trade, the things they don't teach you in school, to really optimize your images for the radiologist.
Yeah, you're always the best cheerleader for a young mind.
Yeah.
You always have been. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks all around. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Sienna. Thank you, Lynn. Anything you'd like to add? We've got just about a minute left.
Can I talk about next week? Because I'm super
sure.
excited about that. Dr. Caldwell has
nice.
agreed to be on. And we're going to talk about his experiences kind of over his career in Del Norte County from when this town was just a few family, very, very dedicated family practice doctors who charted on paper. And how he evolved through the computer age and what stories he can tell us. So hopefully we'll get some good memories of Dr. Mavris and Dr. Casper.
Oh my
Remember all
gosh.
those names?
Yes, I do.
And maybe he can tell us about his one name wonder, Shelley, who is the PA that works in his office.
Oh, we know Shelley. Everybody
So,
knows Shelley.
Yeah. So Shelley, Lynn, Dustin, we're all one name wonders, and I hope someday to add Sienna onto that.
Right on it.
Yeah, super exciting.
We look forward to that. That is the next Health Matters. Thank you, Lynn.